Good morning. I'm Vice President Sharon Green Middleton of the Baltimore City Council. This special meeting of the Board of Estimates is now called to order. The board continues to meet in a hybrid format. For those of you here live, please take a moment now to silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. For those attending virtually, please keep yourself on mute until you have been recognized by the chair. For the purpose of this morning's special meeting is consideration of a series of items related to the city's fiscal year 2023 budget. These items can be found on pages 1 through 9 of the agenda. These items include on page 1, the annual ordinance of estimates, on page 2, the annual property tax ordinance, on pages 3 to 6, the fiscal year 23 to 28 capital budget and capital improvement program, on pages 7 and 9, reports from the Board of Finance and Department of Finance on the 6-year capital improvement program. At this time, I would like to ask our clerk, Celeste Amato, for any corrections, additions, and noted abstentions for any, if any, for today's agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, we have no changes or corrections, and we do not have any abstentions to note. The items Madam Chair outlined are on the non-routine agenda and will be acted upon individually. Thank you.
At this time, I will ask for a motion to approve and adopt the opening statement as read by the clerk.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the opening statement as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The opening statement has been adopted. At this time, I'm going to recognize Bob Senemy, Budget Director, to walk us through the items of today's agenda, particularly anything that has changed or been updated since these were first introduced to the Board of Estimates. Director Senemy, the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning. Bob Senemy, representing the Department of Finance this morning. Wanted to walk the board through these items. So first, we're bringing today the Ordinance of Estimates. The total in the Ordinance of Estimates is $3.3 billion for the operating plan and $792 million for the capital plan. Total budget of about $4.1 billion. We're also bringing the tax rate. The tax rate we're proposing is $2.248 per $100 of assessed value for real property. That's no change versus last year. And by law, the personal property rate is exactly 2.5 times that, which is $5.6 per $100 of assessed value. Again, no change there versus the preliminary plan or the last year's budget. And also the schedule, we're bringing to you the schedule of the 6-year capital improvement plan. In terms of changes versus the preliminary, there are 3 that I wanted to mention that you'll notice if you look at the numbers. First off is there is a reduction in federal capital dollars between prelim and the final ordinance. That is just a technical correction. There was some money that was in the capital plan that was actually ARPA funded, and as I've explained, we appropriated all of the ARPA funding in the prior year, and it was determined we didn't need to have that in the budget, so there's no impact for that one. The second one, the big one, is the biggest one by far, is state capital fund. So we did really well in this year's state legislative session. When the prelim budget came out, the session was not complete yet, so we added money to the state capital section of the ordinance for a bunch of projects. I'll name a few. This is not all of them, but we received money for police stations, fire stations, the Park Heights Library, Druid Hill Reservoir, Solo Gibbs Park, Mount Vernon Place, pools, ADA infrastructure and DOT, the Druid Health Building, and Warner Street Entertainment Complex, among many others. So the state capital appropriation is $88 million higher than it was in the prelim, again, because we got that new information and good news from the state budget. And then on the general fund operating budget in the ordinance is up $12.4 million, and that is because Also at the state session, we received a hold harmless grant for income tax disparity. So the governor's original budget had that number lower. We were able to get a hold harmless grant for fiscal 23 that added $12.4 million to the budget. And that allowed us to do a little bit more on the spending side. We are making a contribution into the Fair Election Fund. We were able to do a little bit more for vacant housing. We've been working on the project to try to speed the process for certain vacant properties, and we're able to put some money aside for economic development as well. So those were the changes. Again, the big one is the state capital budget, where there's a lot of additional projects in the budget. But those are the three that you'll notice if you look at the book. Wanted to remind the board that we did do our charter required board sessions after the preliminary budget was introduced. So we did the special session directly for the board. We also did the special session that was taxpayers night. So we've completed those two steps. And then after today's meeting, the next step would be for the ordinance to be introduced into council and the tax rate. There will be hearings on the budget starting on May 31st. And we'll be delivering the more detailed book, the agency detail publication, to the council next week so they can begin their review in advance of council hearings. So those are the items today. And I would ask the board to consider and pass all these items, and I'm happy to take any questions from the board.
Thank you, Bob. Are there any questions from members of the board? The comptroller.
Too many years of referring to me as the council person. I'm sorry. Good morning.
Hi.
The Fair Election Fund. How much are we putting into the Fair Election Fund?
$2 million.
$2 million. Okay. And are you currently thinking of this as a one-time, or is this going to be worked into the budget on an ongoing basis?
Yeah, at this point, this is just one contribution. We would like to try to incorporate something into the budget going forward. We haven't talked much about that yet. We don't have a plan yet, but
Okay.
We'd like to try.
Okay. Hey, it's a good start. All right. Thank you.
With that, seeing no further questions, I would direct everyone's attention back to page 1 of the agenda and entertain a motion whether to approve the fiscal year 2022 ordinance of estimates for transmittal to the city council.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the item say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ordinance of estimate is approved. Turning to page 2, I would entertain a motion at this time whether to approve the fiscal year 2022 tax rate ordinance for transmittal to the city council.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the item say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The tax rate ordinance is approved. The ordinance of estimates and tax rate ordinance will both be introduced at the next meeting of the city council on May 16th. I'd ask the board now to turn to pages 3 to 6, the 2023 to 28 capital budget and CIP. Without objection, the board will note receipt of the capital budget and CIP. Hearing none, the capital budget is noted. Directing the board's attention to page 7, the Board of Finance has informed the board that they met on May 2nd and endorsed the 6-year capital improvement plan. Turning to page 8, the Department of Finance has recommended that the board approve and adopt the proposed 6-year CIP. I would entertain a motion at this time whether to adopt the 6-year capital improvement plan.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the plan say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The CIP is adopted. As there are no more business before the board, we will adjourn. The next regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Estimates will occur on Wednesday, May 18th at 9 a.m., and I thank everyone for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you.